Well, it's a big night for Detroit with 20 Democratic presidential candidates getting ready to face off in the second round of primary debates. The first just a few hours from now, with 10 of the 20 on stage. And we're joined now from the center of all the action by the Democratic National Committee Communications Director, Xochitl Hinojosa. Now, Xochitl was kind enough to join us in person when we did the show live from Miami before the first debate. So
absolutely,
she's with us. Good to see you once again, this time from Detroit. I know the way it's being billed tonight is kind of a matchup of the progressives on the stage, with Elizabeth Warren supposedly against Bernie Sanders. Obviously, there are 8 other candidates. But that being the billing, as we get set for it, is there a risk? And does the party recognize that risk of being perceived now, early in the primary process, of moving this party too far to the left on a number of issues? And will it be tough to get back if Sanders and Warren are the type that dominate the conversation?
Well, if you're a candidate on this stage tonight, you're not just trying to go and talk to people like to our base. You're also talking to all of America. You're talking to those Trump voters. You're talking to the people here in Michigan who didn't necessarily vote for a Democrat, or maybe came out to vote but didn't vote at the top of the ticket. Those are the people we want to talk to, as well as the people that have been impacted by Trump's policies that are part of the Democratic base. So if you are running for president, you want to be the president for all Americans, not just a certain part.
So
and
is
so
the
I
move
think that
to the
will be
left
important
real?
to hear tonight.
Is it a real risk, the move to the left in the party? You have to be careful.
I don't think that this is a move to the left, or we are talking about the issues. Everyone on that stage will talk about health care. They'll talk about the economy. Yes, do we disagree on how to get there? Do we disagree on our health care proposals?
Right.
Yes, we do. But are we all united around expanding access to health care? Absolutely. And so you actually see a Democratic Party who is united and worried about helping people. There was just a recent poll that came out that talked about people in Michigan are really upset by Donald Trump's tweets. And, you know, if Donald Trump wants to tweet all day and put racist attacks out there, then he's not going to win a state like Michigan. They want to know, how are you helping them?
Well, that's kind of part of the debate. Let me bring up something from Axios, some data that they put out on the quote-unquote dominant storylines that are out there online. And what they found was, in the data that they released at least, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, who we already talked about, are getting far more attention when they talk about student debt cancellation, tuition-free college, than someone like Joe Biden or Senator Harris, who we'll both see tomorrow night, are getting for their issues. And I'm wondering if there is some sort of a disconnect here between the types of issues that do get attention online, in the Twitterverse, as we call it, versus the so-called kitchen table issues that people really care about. The reason I bring that up, you said the president's tweets matter, and I'm sure they do to some people, or the president's commentary on issues. But don't people care more about the issues that affect their lives rather than, you know, what the president's talking about on a given day?
What you're referring to are Democrats talking about how they're going to help people's lives versus Donald Trump, who is attacking women of color and people who he is threatened by. And so whether it is Twitter or whether you're talking to a rural voter, all the candidates are proposing bold policy ideas on how to help people. Now, you're right. People want to talk about health care. They want to talk about the economy. That's why you saw both of those issues covered in the last debate. You're not going to talk about hand size. I want to remind you, 4 years ago, there was a Republican debate right behind me in 2016 here at the Fox Theater. Guess what they talked about? They talked about hand size. We don't want that. We want to talk about the issues, and we think all of our candidates will do that tonight.
Yeah, we do remember that. We will hopefully check in with you on all of these debates. We appreciate you coming back for number 2. We'll be watching you the next couple of nights. Xochitl, thanks. Susan.